log in.
Okay, Teresa, please introduce our speaker. Welcome.
Okay, welcome everybody. It's my great pleasure today to introduce Chris Herjong from the Hmong American Peace Academy. And I'll just tell you a little bit about how I came to know Chris and why I respect her so deeply and why the story you're about to hear today is so exciting. I hope I don't steal too much of Chris's thunder, but she's got a lot to say, and so reinforcing it is probably a good thing. Back in about 2007 or so, I attended an event put on by a not-for-profit organization that helped other not-for-profits find board members, and it helped community members get seats on local boards. And one of the organizations that was looking for new board members that day was the Hmong American Peace Academy. That was my introduction to Chris. So I met Chris, I talked to her, and I was impressed. There was something special about Chris that seemed to stand out from all the other not-for-profits that were looking for board members. The thing that I remembered about working with Chris is she always had her ducks in a row, and she seemed to have a great relationship with her accountant. I thought this is going to be an easy task to serve on this board. They've got their numbers right. But what I didn't understand at the time, and Chris will tell you about it, is that she had a gigantic vision for where she wanted to go with the school. And when I first met the Hmong American Peace Academy, they were down in a church school on South 27th Street or Layton Avenue. And Chris had this colossal vision. She wasn't satisfied with where they were. She wanted to expand. She wanted to expand into a larger high school. She wanted to go like K3, I think, K3 or K4 until high school. And then she wanted to make it into a community center, and she wanted to buy a new school building and buy land and create a community center. It's a huge vision. She'll tell you about it, I'm sure. But the reason why that's important and exciting is because of Chris's family story and her personal story. She started out in Southeast Asia, and I don't remember if it was Thailand or Laos or some combination of the two. And the family definitely passed through a refugee camp at one time. They immigrated to the United States when Chris was a child, and they landed in Pella, Iowa, where they were welcomed to Pella, Iowa by a group of volunteers who did a great job teaching how to be effective as an American, reinforcing progress-prone behaviors. And they supported these progress-prone behaviors in Chris. And Chris accepted and acknowledged she was their star pupil, and she's been paying it forward ever since. The theme here is progress-prone behaviors, because progress-prone behaviors can be taught. And the thing that I remember most about the Hmong American Peace Academy and my time serving on the board is that this school is focused on teaching and reinforcing progress-prone behaviors among the Hmong American students who are there. Without further ado, I'm going to step aside and let Chris take over. She has an amazing story. Please listen and keep your questions for the end. Thank you.
Thank you, Teresa. You were so gracious. Thank you for the introduction. Oh my goodness. So I will start first by thanking you for this opportunity to meet with you and to introduce Hmong American Peace Academy. It's also known as HAPA. You may not have heard much about us, but we have been going about our work quietly. But I think you will be excited to learn how HAPA is becoming recognized as a force for important and positive developments in Milwaukee. Sorry, just technical. Okay. I will begin with a brief overview of our history. In 2004, HAPA opened its doors to local Hmong American families who were struggling to educate and to prepare their children to succeed in Milwaukee. Largely, the children and the grandchildren of immigrants who fled the communist rule of Laos for a better life in America. HAPA scholars now thrive in a school community deeply rooted in Hmong culture and history, academic achievement, character development, and of course, community service. What modestly began as a K-5 grade school with 200 students, now we're serving over 1,800 students in K-4 to 12th grade students. And it is being recognized as one of Milwaukee's highest performing school. In terms of demographics, over 95% of our scholars would identify as Hmong, but there are many, many wonderful stories and interesting story about our scholars. Our scholars in the early grades come from blended families such as African-American, a parent comes from African-American, Latino, white, or other Asian heritage. But the heart and soul of this is that these families are particularly interested in having Hmong history and cultural values be a part of their children's overall education. And the foundation for this is that you need to know who you are so that you could become productive citizens. And so thus, that's the foundation for the large enrollment. HAPA's high academic expectations are supported by the abundant love of parents and grandparents, compassionate and professional teachers, a rigorous academic, and of course, we complete our curriculum with Peace Builder curriculum. Data from the Wisconsin Department of Public Instructions shows that despite 95% of our students qualify as economically disadvantaged students, HAPA's academic performance, when compared to all the schools in the state, exceeds expectations. These results have been achieved quietly, humbly, and deliberately through careful planning and the dedicated work of executive leadership, educators, staff members, families, and of course, our board of directors. Of all the great things about HAPA, I think our most distinctive quality is that we're all about peace. You know, war is not always the answer to all of our conflicts, but peace is the solution. Perhaps a more personal story will help you to have a feel for our mission and vision. My story is like so many of our refugees coming to seek home in America. As a child, I remembered seeing the last plane leaving Longcheng, where Hmong people fought as allies of the United States in the secret war in Laos, left thousands and thousands of Hmong abandoned in destiny. My family had no home. We were in great danger. The communist force put a plan to wipe out all the Hmong, and we faced execution. About 30,000 Hmong died in the secret war, but more died after the war when the Hmong were targeted by execution by the communist army. My family had fled to refugee camps in Thailand, but it was very dangerous. And the refugee camps in Thailand were harsh and dangerous, and the living conditions were horrible. We waited in lines for our next meals. If you can imagine, in the rain and waiting in long lines for your next meal. Seeing that there's no hope, my father applied to come to the United States. My family, and along with hundreds of refugees, came to America with little preparation to start a new life in this country. My parents and the refugees had no transferable skills to enter the workforce. And so we face and struggle with culture shock, language barriers, and other social issues such as poverty. I don't know if you know this, but based on the 2010 census, 25% of our Hmong population are living in poverty compared to 11% of the general US population. And so education was the primary pathway by which and their succeeding generations would overcome the problems that they face in the United States. So my family and I were sponsored by a Dutch Reformed Church in Iowa. And as a child, finally, I came to Iowa and the promise of peace was experienced. And then when I came to Milwaukee, I found a new home. So I've been here for a while in Milwaukee. And so, you know, transferring lives and the leading the community is okay, sorry. Okay. So our young scholars learn about peace at Hmong American Peace Academy and about the journey from war to a new home in America and the blessings of peace. HAPA's goal is to enable our scholars to gain the knowledge and find the opportunities to fully realize the dreams their parents and grandparents have for the next generation of Hmong in Milwaukee. The great promise HAPA offers its scholars and family is to build a community of peace builders and lifelong learners who are transforming lives and leading the way out of poverty into a prosperous life of service. And so I'm going to, let's see if I could do this. Sorry about the technical difficulty. I'm going to show you a video of our scholars, a tape that our parents, one of our parents took during an event. And so I'm going to show you a video of that. See if we could do. On. Okay. Hold on, sorry. This one. Okay, we'll see if. All right, well, it's
Chris, why don't I see if I could pull it up? Why don't you go ahead with the presentation and I'll see if I can find it and pull it up from what Dan sent to me yesterday. Does that sound okay? Well, Chris, you're muted now.
okay. Thank you so much. I apologize.
Okay, no worry. We're easy.
Okay. Okay, so our continuous growth, our new high school and gymnasium feature 38 modern classrooms with 16,000 square feet gymnasium, multi-purpose resource room with a student-run cafe, a museum dedicated to Hmong history and culture, and then a professional facility, and also with the administration offices. So one of the visible signs of our commitment to enabling our scholars to achieve great dreams is the new high school building and the gymnasium raising on 84th Street campus. This $30 million project, which will be completed this summer, was funded by a low-cost bonds made possible with the help of Robert W. Barron. Now, HAPA is building out our culture of philanthropy and hospitality as we invite benefactors and supporters to help us to fill this inspiring new school facility with the excellent programming that is the hallmark of great school. In this way, HAPA can become an even greater presence in Milwaukee. As Mayor Barrett visited our school on Monday, and he said, Chris, of all the people that say they're going to do this, they're going to do that, but HAPA does deliver on its promise of great things. And so that I took that as a compliment, and we're excited that Hmong American Peace Academy continues to be a positive development in the city of Milwaukee, and that we're impacting lives and changing lives for the betterment. So I would be happy to answer any questions, but more importantly, thank you for allowing me to introduce you to Hmong American Peace Academy. And if you have questions or insights, I would love to entertain.
Mary, did you get the video to work?
I have not. I have it here, but I can't get it to open up either.
Okay. Well,
So,
Chris, I'm
sorry.
interested in the student-run cafeteria.
Yeah, so we've been focusing on academic achievement, and we realize that soft skills are just as important as the academic skills. And so we built in a cafe, like a mini Starbucks cafe, so that our students could work in the cafe, earn money for college. And so it would be run by the students. And so all the money that we bring in will be then divided among the student worker, and then they will be then saving for college.
Wow, that sounds really cool.
Yes.
Does
We
the
are very
school-
excited.
Does the school have particular career tracks that students follow?
Yes, so our high school has 4 tracks, pre-med, pre-engineering, pre-law, and then the business, pre-business. So the cafe will be under the pre-business track. And so our students follow those 4 tracks all 4 year. And then and then we also have a program that we are partnering with Mount Mary, and that's a dual credit. And so then the students will then take college credit for those 4 tracks. And so that we realize that, we can't offer the college campus experience. And so with the dual partnership, we will then allow our students the opportunity to experience the college life starting in junior years. And so we're very excited about that partnership.
Nice, thank you.
Chris, where is this new facility located?
It's right next to our current building, and it's located on 84th and Hampton, close by Timmerman Airport. So we were fortunate to buy a 14-acre land with the current building. And so we knew that, as Teresa alluded earlier, I have this grand vision of turning our school into a community center. And so when we were given the opportunity to be proud owners of this property, we took advantage of, and so we bought the property from the district. And so we are building and growing.
And Chris, if you stop sharing your slide presentation, then we would just have we'd see everybody a little bit better. Perfect.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Chris, how many of your students have gone to college, and how have they done, and where have they gone?
So most of our students are enrolled and attend MATC for the 2 years program. And then for the 4-year program is Milwaukee. Some attended UW-Madison. And so 100% of our graduating class get accepted to college, but due to financial situation, many are seeking the 2-year program. And then some are taking advantage of the 4-year program. And so our graduation rate is in the high 50s after postgraduate. And so, a few are pursuing professional degrees or advanced degrees. And so we are not quite together on collecting data. We feel that we have a good return, and that's about 50%. And then we have 2 Gates Millennium Scholars. So in each year, there are 1,000 recipients of the Gates Scholarship. And so we receive 2. Well, in the state of Wisconsin, there are 6 been awarded, and of the 6, 2 were given to schools. And so those 2 Gates Scholars have been successful. They graduated from a 4-year degree. They now earn a master degree. One of the Gates Scholars is teaching in California. And so she wants to come back and teach and give back to the community. And then the other gentleman, he is employed at a financial institute and is being very successful. And so they're giving back to the community.
Is
Have any-
there,
go
is
ahead.
there, oh, I'm sorry, Mary.
No,
Is
go
there,
ahead.
is there an application process to get into this school?
So we, prior to this COVID-19, we had a list of about 300 on our wait list. And so because of space, we were not able to take in more students. And so I was able to convince my board to build the new high school so that would allow more seats for our applicants. And so, but we take students from all over the city. We also have a large enrollment of open enrollment. That means students who live in the suburbs come to our school because they want the Hmong cultural component. And so we do have that. And so of the 1,800 students, I would say 95% are from the Milwaukee resident, and then 5% are from the suburb districts that attend our school. So yeah, anybody could come and enroll in our school. The only problem at the moment is that we are taking only enrolling siblings. So for example, if you have older siblings that are already enrolled, then we take the K4. And so we've been able to do that, but now that the high school is available, we will be able to take more seats.
Chris, I wonder, when you think about, we know the data coming out of COVID is just unbelievable. And there isn't a teacher or school that didn't have such challenges this year. That said, what makes you most proud about how HAPA rose to that moment?
I believe that our families, the desire for quality education and the support that they put forth to their children. And so even the children are at home learning, the parents make sure that the children are fed and dressed and ready on the monitor at 7 o'clock in the morning and stay until 2:30 in the afternoon. And so it's the commitment from the parents to the grandparents, and then the commitment of our teachers, our teaching staff, and really focus on the mission of academic excellence. And so no excuses. Our philosophy is that during this COVID-19 and virtual learning, we're not just going to survive, we must thrive. And so earlier in the school year, I sent a message that we must thrive under this condition. And so I was able to pull in the parents and the students students and the staff and be a team and really charge forward with thriving.
And Chris mentioned earlier while we were getting ready to start the program that she had a 98% engagement rate from her students throughout the year.
Wow.
So they actually opted to stay virtual through the end of the school year because they felt that their system was working well and they were able to provide the education that they wanted to provide.
Yes, so we set the stage and we set the goals and just marched to that goal.
Chris, I wonder if you want to compare your students with the students left behind in the Hmong communities in Asia.
Yes, so as I reflect on it, back in Laos, you were either fortunate and talented and your parents could spare you from the farm work, then you were given opportunity to go to school. The States, every child has the opportunity to get an education. And so with that frame mind, a frame reference that here's the land of opportunity, and in order to move out of poverty, education is the key to moving out of poverty. So all hands are on deck. Our parents and grandparents talk to our students and use their story as a motivational tool to motivate our students, to inspire our students so that they could aspire to dream big and become big. And my philosophy to my scholars here at Hmong American Peace Academy is that if you could dream it, you could achieve it. And, I'm an example of that. When I came to the United States at age 11, I did not know how to hold a pencil, let alone write my name. And so then I had to learn everything from the beginning. And so I use my story to tell, to share, and to motivate our students that with determination, dedication, and discipline that you can move out of poverty, and that you could be self-sufficient for yourself, for your families, and for the community. John, oh, you're on mute. John, on mute.
What percentage of your curriculum is dedicated to Hmong culture and history?
Just a small component of it. We treat it as a specialty class like art, music. And so we have art, music, Hmong culture, technology, and physical ed. And so then the children will rotate through those courses. But our Hmong culture and language, because we don't have the teacher licensed to teach Hmong, we use Hmong as a heritage language. And so our students beginning in a K-4 all the way to 8th grade will take Hmong heritage language, culture, and history. And so I believe that is a component of the large enrollment that we are experiencing because our parents, and there was an incident when I was in the office 2 years ago, and a parent who had tattoos all over his neck, and he came, this is a young dad, and his son was only 4 years old, and he came in and enrolled, and I said, Mr. Vang, why do you want to enroll your child in our school? It's a Hmong school. Why do you want it? And he says, Mrs. Herjong, I want you to know that when I was growing up, I did not know who I was or where I came from. And so I became involved in non-productive organizations such as gangs. But I want my son to learn about the richness of his history, his culture, so that he could be bilingual and bicultural and that he will be healthy and productive. And I just sat back and I said, wow, what a wonderful example of what HAPA stands for and what it can do for its community.
Does the school offer any summer programming, and are there ever any special event open to the public?
Yes, so we offer summer school for our students. And then our New Year celebration is the second week of December, and we put out a grand performance. And so the auditorium that we currently have, our auditorium seats about 900 people. And so you could imagine that 1,800 students and parents and grandparents and relatives. So the program starts at 10 o'clock, but by 8 o'clock, the families would bring their coats, extra coats, and reserve all the seats. And so from 8 till 9:30, you could see all the seats covered with coats. And then just starting at 9:30, then the seats are filled with families. And so we have a wonderful celebration where we celebrate the Hmong culture and we share the Hmong culture to the community. And then the families bring a community dish. And so we have a community lunch and we celebrate. And so it's a well-attended event, and the community is welcome.
Chris, I'm thinking about the name of the school. Is there a part of the curriculum that you teach about peace?
Yes, the foundation of so there's 3 pillars of our school. One is cultural strength, 2 is the rigorous academic standards, and 3 is the peace curriculum. And we feel strongly that war is not always the answer to conflicts, but peace. And more importantly, we feel that our young men and young women need to grow up to be young men and young women of character, and that they know they have the skills to work collaboratively with others. And that, so for example, a couple years ago, one of the parents in my elementary school called and said, "Mrs. Herjong, what's this about peace builder?" And I said, "Well, what do you mean?" And she said, "My son said I'm not a peace builder." And so, we have to right our wrong. We have to seek wise people and to, solve our problems in a peaceful way. And so when students are not doing what they're supposed to do, we would say, "Go to the peaceful chair." And then the student will say, "Mrs. Y, I think I'm ready to come back because now I'm a peace builder." And so it's preventative than anything.
That's great.
Thank you.
Chris, I wonder if you can tell us what happens to students after they've graduated and gone on to marry. What percentage of them marry into the Hmong community and what percentage do not?
So we've been tracking that data. The younger elementary students, we are seeing that blended families are happening. About 40 to 50% of our young elementary are attending our elementary division are coming with blended families like Hmong, African American, Hmong, Latino, Hmong, Caucasian, Hmong, and other Asian heritage ethnicity. So we're seeing that. For example, when we usually have teachers or a potluck where the parents would bring a dish to share with the staff. And a couple years ago, one of the teachers ran from the cafeteria into my office and says, "Mrs. Herjong, something's wrong in the cafeteria." So I ran with her to the cafeteria and she says, "Look, it's all American food." Instead of the Hmong food. And I thought, oh my goodness, we have come a long ways. And so she was expecting Hmong food, egg rolls and rice, and we end up with mashed potato and gravy and mac and cheese. And she says, "Something's wrong here." And I said, oh my goodness. So I hope that answers your question.
Very good, thank you.
Yes.
Well, we're just about out of time here, but I know that Chris, I'm sure you'd stay if there were some more questions, but this was really very informative. And I know that everyone who has met you and has worked with you is always impressed by what you have, well, the spirit you bring to it and what you've accomplished. So thank you for what you're doing for our Milwaukee community.
Thank you, and I apologize for the PowerPoint glitches and not able to share videos.
No worry at all. We're all good. So
Okay,
Yes, thank you so much.
thank
Thanks for
you.
being such a bright light.
Oh,
yes,
Yes, thank you so
thank
much.
you.
Thank you so much. Okay.
Thank you, Chris. It's sort of bittersweet that you're our last snack program, at least for the summer, but I'm really glad we were able to have you as part of our little initiative and to learn about something that none of us probably would know anything about.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for the kind words. Right.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Good
Bye-bye.
luck, Chris.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.